Another lovely day out there to all of you, my dearest of friends. We left off in chapter 19 where Moses is reminding this new generation before they cross over into the Jordan. He's reminding them about criminal law, what would happen to criminals and such. Now we come into chapter 20. When thou goest out to battle against thine enemies, and seest horses and chariots and a people more than thou, be not afraid of them. For the Lord thy God is with thee, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And if you wonder why over and over again the Israelites and then later on, especially the Jews, they were constantly reminded, remember what God did for your forefathers in Egypt. Remember all the plagues, the 10 plagues. Remember the crossing of the Red Sea. Remember that of the cloud by day and the fire by night. Remember all these wonderful miracles that the whole world is well aware of. And remember, well, this is telling us something very crucial. Israel was given evidence for faith. God didn't ask Israel to have a blind trust in him. They could trust him as they went into battle because he had proven himself mighty and faithful before. He had a track record which could be trusted. The very same principle is carried over into the New Testament. If you'll recall how John the Baptist, he's about to die, and he says to 2 of his disciples, go and ask him if he is the one that we're looking for, if he is the true Messiah, and if not, should we seek someone else? Well, his disciples, they run up to Jesus and they say, should we be looking for someone else? And Jesus says, go back and tell John of the works that I have done, of the evidence that I have presented to you. Who else has done any of this? What prophet of old has ever done the works that he has done? Healed the blind, the sick, gave speech to the mute. And who has done this? Raised the dead. Believe on evidence. The very same occurred with that of doubting Thomas, and how he says, I'll not believe that he is resurrected lest I place my fingers in his side, see his hands. I have to physically touch him unless it'd be a hallucination or a ghost or something. So what does Jesus say? He says, handle me. He says, here I am. He's not asking us to take it on blind faith. Now, all of this does beg the questions. Well, Stephen, that's all well and good, but what about us? Now, in these days, well, if you'll remember at the very end of John's gospel, at the very end of all 4 gospels, this is one of the very last things that is written to us before we got into Acts and Romans and all of these. But at the very end of the 4 gospels, we read, but these are written, the events of Jesus is written unto us, that ye might believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that believing ye might have life through his name. So we are told these things from eyewitnesses. He walked on water, and he fed many thousands with just a handful of food, and that he rose from the dead. We're told about all these things in the gospel so that we might believe. Verse 2. And it shall be, when ye are come nigh unto the battle, that the priest shall approach and speak unto the people, and shall say unto them, Hear, O Israel, ye approach this day unto battle against your enemies. Let not your hearts faint, fear not, and do not tremble, neither be ye terrified because of them. For the Lord your God is he that goeth with you to fight for you against your enemies, to save you. And the officers shall speak unto the people, saying, What man is there that hath built a new house, and hath not dedicated it? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in the battle, and another man dedicate it. So here we begin to see, if you have this thing going in your life or this thing going in your life, then you all are relieved of this battle coming up. But what exactly is meant right here, that of a man dedicating his house? It is evident that it was a custom in Israel to dedicate a new house to God with prayer, praise, and thanksgiving. Something that we should all do with our own homes. Prayer, praise, and thanksgiving. And this was done in order to secure the divine presence and blessing, for no pious or sensible man could imagine he could dwell safely in a house that was not under the immediate protection of God. Verse 6. And what man is he that hath planted a vineyard, and hath not yet eaten of it? Let him also go and return into his house, lest he die in the battle, and another man eat of it. And what man is there that hath betrothed a woman, and hath not taken her? Let him go and return into his house, lest he die in the battle and another man take her. So a man in whom has his new wife, he's allowed to go home to her and take it. But for how long? We're actually told about the period in which he gets free from war and all this. Hath betrothed the wife. The time allowed in this case was a year, according to Deuteronomy 24. This was a law of great humanity, that conjugal love might not be disturbed, but have time to knit into a firm and lasting affection. Great reason for this, which we'll come to in later chapters. Verse 8. And the officers shall speak further unto the people, and they shall say, What man is there that is fearful and faint-hearted? Let him go and return into his house, lest his brethren's heart faint as well as his heart. So now we're told about the faint-hearted, the fearful, those in whom are so afraid that they can barely move before battle. You know, not everyone is built for battle. Not everyone is built for war. Some are poets and artists, and really, I've met some people that can't stand the sight of blood. This fearfulness is to be understood, say the Jews, not only of a natural timorousness, or that fear of every little thing, which is incident to some constitutions and makes a man tremble at every danger, but of the adventitious terrors of a guilty conscience. For they did not, as in modern fashion, send the wickedest and most worthless into the wars. And it shall be, when the officers have made an end of speaking unto the people, that they shall make captains of the armies to lead the people. When thou comest near unto a city to fight against it, then proclaim peace unto it. And it shall be, if it make thee answer of peace and open unto thee, then it shall be that all the people that is found therein shall be tributaries unto thee, and they shall serve thee. And if it will make no peace with thee, but will make war against thee, then thou shalt besiege it. And when the Lord thy God hath delivered it into thine hands, thou shalt smite every male thereof with the edge of the sword. Notice no mention of females or children or even beasts, only the males within the city. But the women, and the little ones, and the cattle, and all that is in the city, even all the spoil thereof, shalt thou take unto thyself, and thou shalt eat the spoil of thine enemies, which the Lord thy God hath given thee. Referring to the vineyards or the grain stored up, and all of this. Thus shalt thou do unto all the cities which are very far off. Now here's the clear distinction. These are not the Canaanites that they're to try to make peace with. The iniquity of the Canaanites, the people within the land of Canaan, all these different nations, they're to be destroyed utterly. Then their iniquity has reached its full. They're wicked beyond any kind of reproach or any kind of correction. And truly, this is far more than just merciful whenever they would accept the peace offering from the Israelites. By surrender, the people would become dependent, and in the relation of tributaries, the conquered nations would receive the highest blessings from alliance with the chosen people. This happened in the times of David and Solomon. He conquered so much more territory to the north, Syria and all of these, going all the way up to the river Euphrates. Conquered all of it. From alliance with the chosen people, they would be brought to the knowledge of Israel's God and of Israel's worship, as well as a participation of Israel's privileges. But of the cities of these people, the Canaanites, which the Lord thy God doth give thee for an inheritance, thou shalt save alive nothing that breatheth. Now it's speaking only of the people. Animals are not included within that. But thou shalt utterly destroy them, namely the Hittites and the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, as the Lord thy God hath commanded thee. Once again, everything that breatheth is to die, but it doesn't apply to beasts. You can read about that in Joshua 11. Verse 18, that they teach you not to do after all their abominations, which they have done unto their gods. So should ye sin against the Lord your God. When thou shalt besiege a city a long time, and making war against it to take it, thou shalt not destroy the trees thereof, by forcing an axe against them, for thou mayest eat of them. And thou shalt not cut them down, for the tree of the field is man's life, to employ them in the siege. Only the trees which thou knowest that be not trees for meat, that do not bear fruit of any kind, thou shalt destroy and cut them down. And thou shalt build bulwarks against the city that maketh war with thee, until it be subdued. One final comment by Jameson Fawcett Brown. In a protracted siege, wood would be required for various purposes, both for military works and for fuel. But fruit-bearing trees were to be carefully spared. as these could feed the army and everything, and could grow yield year to year.